John is also a best-selling author of books, papers, and lots of things. As I've continued to look, he is a wealth of knowledge, and so I turn him over to you today, Professor.
Thank you, Mike, and Matt before that. Wow, this room's longer than I thought it was, with more people at the back. Looks like about a 9-iron for me to get to the back of the room there. So I hope you can hear me all right. Oh, yeah, you can hear. And can you see this on the screen all right? If you want a PDF of this presentation, just leave me your business card at the end, or perhaps Ilana can help get that to you. So, good morning. It's a great pleasure to be invited to give this keynote at the annual Master Conference. And I'd like to share with you some ideas on what we call redefining quality. And that very much, I think, fits in line with following on from what Matt has said, particularly as in the next 3 sublines, we don't see the word quality. We're talking about accelerating change, about reducing cost, about protecting reputation. So very much in line with what Master Control has as those strategic thrusts you heard today. But before I start, you may want to know a little bit more about who this guy is who stood talking to you. And Mike said something about my background, but I actually started off life as a chemist. Well, I started off as a baby, but I became a chemist. I suppose there are several chemists out there. Yeah, people who wash their hands before they go to the toilet. I worked for big chemical companies when I finished my PhD. I worked for Sandoz, Novartis, you may know is part of that, in R&D, and then moved into part of Union Carbide in production operations management. I've recovered from it now. I spent the last 30-odd years, though, working on quality and operational excellence, and working particularly with large complex organizations, many in the life sciences, medical devices industry, but not all. So this afternoon I'm flying to Stockholm, where we're featuring in the International Aerospace Quality Group meeting, a massive meeting of the Boeings and the Airbuses of this world. I go on to the end of the week to Zurich for meetings in ABB, the huge electrical, electronics, engineering business where they make robots for the likes of BMW and Mercedes-Benz to build their cars for them, and lots of other things. So we really are working in leading edge organizations, and really, I guess, over those 30 years, you described me as a quality professional. I guess many of you in the room would describe yourself as a quality professional. Although I was at a big conference recently when the quality director of AXO stood up and said, you know, if you were to line up all the quality professionals in the world end to end now, it probably would be a very good thing. So that doesn't make you feel very good. As Mike said, I'm Emeritus Professor at Leeds University Business School. That means I'm an old person. And I'm Chairman of Oakland Consulting and founder of its Research and Education Division, which is now called the Oakland Institute. And some of what I want to share with you this morning is founded in that research. Another thing I am is a statistician, fellow of the Royal Statistical Society. And of course, a statistician is someone who wanted to be an accountant but lacked the charisma. Oops, crikey, this is very sensitive. Right, there we go. Let's go to that. No, let's go to that. Wait a minute, I've flicked on. There's a bit. Just in 30 seconds, talking about Oakland Consulting and what we do. Starts in the bottom corner. We're founded in research and education. It keeps us at the leading edge, emergent thinking of quality and operational excellence, which is what Matt introduced. What we are looking at from that research is leading edge thinking on things like redefining quality, what it means in the 21st century. we look to assess real business needs. We're not trying to work out the next new Bayesian statistical method of process control. We're trying to look at why people aren't using things that have been around for quite a while and they should be using. And then thirdly, up in the top right-hand corner, turning that knowledge into results, making it work in the real world by transferring knowledge through sessions like this and working with organizations like yours to really deliver sustained improvement. We're obsessed with measuring the improvement, helping to improve on quality, on time, on cost delivery of products and services. So that's the background. Why redefine quality? Well, quality, of course, is at the heart of any good business. It still remains the most important competitive weapon, putting the customer at the center of everything we do to meet those customer requirements, time and time again, in a consistent manner. It's simple. Meeting the customer requirements, what could be simpler? Duran, Crosby, that's all they said in many ways, because organizations didn't even get that. But now, more than ever, it can go wrong. And all we need to do is just look at the news every day, with horse meat in beef burgers, with falsification of data on automotive products for fuel consumption and emission of pollutants, banking fraud. Everywhere you go, you see that quality can be hard to attain, hard to maintain, and reasonably complex organizations find it very easy to lose. Failure to manage quality in this fast-moving consumer goods world we live is quickly damaging the reputations and financial returns of many organizations. And you sit right at the heart of where the control is. So we wanted to understand more about this. We did some research, we spoke to 25 senior quality professionals, very top level, Senior Vice President, Quality and Operational Excellence in ABB, for example, Chief Quality Officer in Airbus and so on, those types of organizations, senior people in Johnson & Johnson in Europe, across the world, to discuss the challenges for quality. And they talked about two things: change and uncertainty. In particular, they talked about 6 key challenges for quality, and I'm sure you recognize these. The consumer challenge. There's more consumer choice than ever before, which is creating immense pressure on bringing products to the market quickly. And sometimes those products actually don't work. I can take you to situations where that is happening. The reputational challenge. Performance data is so readily available now. You can go on your iPhone and download information about the latest disaster, about the latest thing that's affecting this household name company. You can do it quickly and everybody can do it. In lightning speed, we hear about the latest problems in this field. The confidence challenge. Product recalls have increased by almost 4.5 times in the last 5 years. And that concerns customers and consumers. It lowers their confidence. It lowers their confidence in business, in organizations like yours, about doing the right things. The supply chain challenge. Our research indicates that suppliers' ability to deliver in terms of quality, timeliness, and cost is one of the most important risks that you have to manage. 75% of our sample that we interviewed put it in the top 3. The transformational challenge. failure is not just restricted to the delivery of products and services. The way that people manage change is high profile. It can damage the reputations further of organizations that have experienced problems. High quality brands can be seen to be being slow to move in the right direction. And it's people like you who can provide the right sort of competency and capability if you get your act together to help the organization. And last but not least, that improvement challenge, you know, type in any of these things, Lean Six Sigma, I think I've seen Lean Sigma now, and Scrum and Kaizen and Blitz, you know, they're everywhere. It's very hard to keep track, but there are big opportunities to improve the value to society of better products and services that are not being sufficiently exploited. So what are the challenges you face in getting quality working in your organization? Well, I hope I'm not trying to be controversial when I say that, let's put it this way, in the past, quality has been synonymous with compliance, control, and cost. An excessive focus on internal capability with over-bureaucratic approaches. Because we're frightened of getting this wrong. So we create highly bureaucratic approaches to cope. But that's really preventing us using quality as a strategic force. And what we have to do, and the challenge is down to you in this room, ladies and gentlemen, the people who own that quality professional tag, to build learning organizations that are quick to change, avoid excessive costs, and reputational impacts of getting it wrong. But to bring it all back down to earth, I didn't say it was your fault, Henderson. I said I was going to blame you for it. Two very different things. I understand that was in a public sector organization, but anyway, perhaps not. What I'd like to do in the short time I have, and please, if you want more, let me have your business card. We can send you access to become a member of our Oakland Institute. You can download our research papers, can take part in discussions amongst like-minded people. We currently have one on the discussion group of Industry 4.0, for example, which is very interesting. But what I'd like to do is for you to go on a journey with me, if you like. A journey to what I call world class. Matt called it excellence, good word. Business excellence, quality and operational excellence. World-class performance. Now, this applies to both your organization and your latest product or service that you're offering. So products, services, and even processes, our new product development process, and the whole organization always progress on some sort of journey from an idea down here into where we are mature about it, that new product, or our whole organization. You're going to occasionally slip back down here because you've brought out a new product, a new knee joint, a new drug to keep blood pressure down, whatever it is. And we're bound to have slipped down that hierarchy of maturity, if you like. As we get better at doing things, we progress up that curve. When we're not very good at doing things, either as a whole organization or with this new product or service or process, it's actually costing us a lot of money. We're having to throw money at this. We've got recalls, maybe we've got customer complaints, we've got compliance issues. We're having to throw resources and cash at that. So our costs are high. And don't let anybody persuade you that you can go straight down from there in cost. You have to put more money in. You have to invest in better people, better processes, better systems. Before that cost curve will go down and you start to get through that maturity curve. The interesting one, I guess, is the reputation. If you get this wrong, people will for years talk about you and how poor you are, even as you get a lot better. And your reputation does catch up eventually, but eventually you'll have to start educating your customer base back again, because you'll have to tell them how you've addressed the issues that were caused down here. So all of this is within our capability to influence on behalf of the organization. So we have to get good as quality professionals at being able to accelerate change whilst reducing costs as we go up that curve and protecting our reputation. So you need three things. One, to do the accelerating change, one to do protecting reputation, and one to help us with the costs. I'm glad that's a motorbike. I thought it was somebody who started drilling at the side of the door. How often does that happen? You get halfway through a talk and somebody decides to drill through concrete. I think that's a quality problem. So how do you do these three things? How do you accelerate change? How do you get up that maturity curve quickly? How do you reduce costs? How do you protect reputation? All of these are based on our research. We carried out some research and we found that, well, we called it variable control. We did, initially we had it out of control. Gaining control, in control, improving, getting really good, industrialized, world class. I don't want you to text me, but where would you put your organization on that curve right now? Just think about that. Where are you? Anybody want to shout out?
Gaining control.
Gaining control? Anybody better than gaining control? Pardon?
In control and improving.
In control and improving. It's interesting, you rarely get anybody prepared to say we're better than that. So you've got some work to do, because you ain't excellent and you ain't world class. And hopefully Master Control, their word is in here, they're going to help you get there. But you have to take the initiative. You have to do things. And these are the things you have to do to get that working. We carried out research, a different piece of research, on organizations which do change very well. We had successful change programs. They could be introduction of a new quality management system to ISO 9000 2015. It could be the introduction of Lean Six Sigma or whatever. And we assessed their ability to deliver that change. We studied what they did, and we came up with this figure of 8. This has been published widely in academic journals. It's been refereed, reviewed, presented at conferences, and it's been described by Bill Black, who was Senior Vice President, Quality and Operational Excellence at ABB, before that Chief Quality Officer at Airbus, as the best change approach he's ever seen. So look at it, read about it, and try it. It is a figure of 8. It's in 2 loops. The top is the strategic bit. Don't start going round the bottom ring of implementation until you've got that bit right. Now, I could spend 45 minutes talking about this approach, so I haven't got time to do justice to it, but basically, many programs of change failed because we didn't work out what the needs were, why we're doing this. And you get right round here sometimes, deep in the bowels of the organization, and I use that term carefully, deep in the bowels of the organization, and find people start saying, what the hell are we doing this for? It's the wrong thing to do. And when you wind back to here, the leaders of the organization didn't do their bit to really determine what the true needs for the change were. What's driving this? Often external things are driving it. So get your act together with that, get the leadership and direction set, get that clear, and plan the hell out of it before you even get into the bottom ring. You'll see that both of these rings are held together by the things we have to do particularly well, the processes we've built in our businesses to work, to do things for us. So when we've got that right, we then have to come round here. So it is a figure of 8, it's drawn with the arrows. Don't reorganize the place until you've thought this through and you know what the processes are that you have to do particularly well or to change. Don't start messing with the systems and controls here. Get your act together in these parts first, and then we can address the behaviors. I am not saying the behavioral change isn't absolutely vital. What I am saying is, don't lecture people on how they've got to change their behavior before we've sorted out the strategy for the change, what's critical to our success, how we're going to measure that with key performance indicators, what the high-level process framework is, and what it is we actually want them to do differently as a result of all that. And that's another reason why many change programs fail. So successful change is possible only when all 7 of those things in that figure of 8 are in place. And if you've got a change program going on right now and you're thinking, well, this is not working very well, you can use this as an assessment framework. And if you're seeing some of these symptoms, if you like, on the right-hand side, it may lead you to realize where the problem is that we have started to fall apart at the seams. So it's a useful framework to plan the change program. It's useful to assess it and to identify where there may need to be issues to be addressed. But if you're starting some sort of change program, some project or planned big change, make sure you put a lot more effort than most organizations do into these initial areas. And setting that agenda for change, getting the leaders to be very clear, as Matt was this morning, I thought, very clear what this is all about. This is very important. And if your leaders are not good at that, they will need perhaps your help. They typically don't come to you for that type of help, so that's another story which I'll come to. How to accelerate change. We now need to think about reducing costs. This looks like a bow tie, it isn't. It's a triangle. The time, quality, cost triangle, the value triangle, that's all that matters to us. When you buy a new Mercedes-Benz motor car, you're interested in its quality in terms of its design and its shape and whether it's got the right size boot and all that business, or as the Americans say, trunk. I always think of an elephant, but anyway, never mind. We call it a boot in Europe, I think. I don't know what the French for boot is, but so the quality is important. Is the design right? Is it going to meet my needs? But have Mercedes, with ABB's robots, have they made it right? Or am I going to find that I get in on the 3rd morning and the damn thing doesn't start? Or I open the door and there's a big squeak. So the quality is massively important. I want to know when I'm going to get this. If they tell me I can't have a new Mercedes for 3 months, but BMW might be able to give me one in a month and the quality is more or less the same, that might be a big factor for me in my decision as to what I would choose. And of course, I have not got an unlimited budget. So the cost, the price for me in this purchase decision is important. That's all there is in life in terms of business: quality, cost, and time. Don't have a cost reduction program. Most cost reduction programs are the equivalent of me going along feeling a bit overweight. I've been on too many conferences, been eating the food in the Hilton Hotel, and I'm a bit overweight. So I go to see the doctor, and what advice he could give me for that. And he chops my right arm off. I've lost weight, but I'm not quite the same. And that's what many, sorry, I flicked the switch unknowingly. That's what many cost reduction programs do. They hack away at the competency and capability, and the organization is never the same. We've lost something that we will never replace. Don't do that. Address the two issues of quality and time. And Matt talked about things like lean, about Six Sigma. Six Sigma is about reducing variation. Variation is what screws us with regard to quality. So get your act together in terms of getting reduction in variation in the way things are done, the people, the materials you buy, and so on. Time is about the two things we do. Do we spend time adding value in our business or not adding value? Moving things around, reporting things, redoing things because they weren't right the first time. Non-value added processes will benefit from a lean approach. And in doing all this, we have created an approach called assumption busting. Most rules are set up in businesses that cause us to waste time and to have excessive variation through assumptions that often were created many years ago. I remember doing some work in the BBC, outside broadcasts, where they were 3 times as expensive as Sky TV for covering an outside broadcast for a football match, for example. They had 3 vans when Sky had 1. They had 3 times as many cameramen as Sky had. They arrived on Friday afternoon and decamped on Sunday. Sky came Saturday morning, they were away by Saturday afternoon. Why? Because the organization was riddled with assumptions that were out of date. So there is an approach called assumption busting that can really help in this area. So Lean Six Sigma type approaches will drive you towards, as Matt said, excellence and a different performance. And the third area, how do we protect reputation? It starts with understanding our performance and risk. So what you have to do is to bring together your performance from the entire end-to-end value chain, starting with the, if you like, the marketing, sales, the new product development, into supply chain, into manufacturing, through quality, blah, 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 right across the organization, highlighting areas of priority, risk, and specific improvement action. And don't tell me this isn't your job. Yes, it is. Who else can look right across the value chain better than the quality professional? There is no other function that can do that. And you'll need some sort of framework. You can go to ISO 9001, you can go to the excellence model, the EFQM model for what used to be called business excellence or total quality management. We've integrated it all into one absolutely world-class framework. You can see the headings of things like performance, leadership, people, process, quality, culture. You can look at people, customers, people, quality, and operational, and you can produce something like that. That was for a company that manufactures, as it happens, wind turbine blades right across the world. Factories in Outer Mongolia, India, Fort Knox, in the US, all over Europe. There are the sites. Here are the issues. There's the RAG code. The chief executive said to me when we put that on his table, that is the first time I have seen my whole company in one tablet. Look at, these guys are pretty good. A few threes here, yeah, a few one. We're not so good here. These guys could do with talking to that site. And hey, look at this, we're all lousy at this. What's this? Supplier selection, certification, and management. In one picture, you can provide for your senior executives who don't get it from anywhere else, a picture of what's going on in the organization. And if you do that, you will change their perception of what you and your contribution can be to the organization. So, redefining quality, understanding and applying what quality means in the 21st century. How are you going to accelerate change, reduce costs, protect reputation? That's the mantra. What you're going to do is to help your company understand better its customers. You're going to help them set the strategic direction in a way that Matt built up with those nice building blocks this morning. Diagnose the problem in your business using that type of picture I showed there. Improve effectiveness and efficiency. Transform the way the organization does business and help change happen so that it's sustained, doesn't drift back. When you think of master control, you have that idea of creating something that we've worked on to get here, and we've improved things along the way, and we're not going to let it slip back. And that's the essence of what you and their products and services can do. And we've got to collaborate with partners much more effectively. In that supply chain thing, it's a very interesting thing to see how that pans out. I'll talk about that very briefly in a second. Me, I thought you were in charge of quality. You know, it's very easy to get the idea that, yeah, I live in this little office here and my job's did document control and to make sure the EQMS works and all that business. Actually, you need to step outside the office and look around you and think what might be going on. But beware, because you might suffer from a reputation problem which you have to address. I think my favourite story is the one of the funeral procession. This guy was just walking along the street, came to this corner, and there was a very interesting funeral procession going past him. There was a hearse with a coffin in it. Then behind that, there was another hearse with a coffin in it. Then there was a guy with a big black dog walking along behind the second hearse. And then there was a line of about 200 people behind him. So his curiosity overwhelmed him. He went up to the guy with the dog and he said, "This is a very unusual funeral procession. What's going on here?" So the guy said, "Well, I'm the production manager of the factory over there. And in the first hearse is the internal auditor, the quality auditor. And this is the factory dog. And one night the guy was working late and the dog got out, and it attacked the auditor and it ripped his throat out and he died. So that's who that is. So the guy said, oh, that's terrible. Who's in the second hearse, in the second coffin? He said, well, actually, next door, the BSI auditor, the British Standard Auditor, he was here looking at an external audit. And the dog finished off the internal auditor, went next door and ripped the throat out of the external auditor. That's the guy in the second coffin. So the guy said to the factory manager, can I borrow the dog? And he said, no, get in the queue. There's a big long line here. And then you know the difference between a skunk in a road traffic accident and a quality auditor. You can see skid marks in the road in front of the skunk. So think about it. We may have some work to do, and we need to do the work that delivers this type of benefit. These are some of the projects that people like yourself and us together have done in both the service sector, which the sort of reddy brown colour, and manufacturing. And invoicing processes, NPS, Net Promoter Score increase, £22 million in that case saving, warranty cost savings, 20 million savings over 5 years. These are improvements in quality, on-time delivery, costs that were made by people like yourselves working with senior people and other colleagues to deliver change. So just finishing off on you, the profession. As Mike said, I'm very involved in the American Society for Quality and also in the Chartered Quality Institute in the UK. I am on the advisory council, and I chaired something called the Professional Policy Panel, which was started about 3 years ago now. And we created the Quality Profession Competency Framework, which I'd like to share with you. We did that by, again, some more research. What did people feel quality means in the 21st century? Well, yeah, you've got the traditional stuff about it, whether it works or not, whether it's functional, meets the standard or not. But in the world today, quality is much more. It means everything. It's the design, the colour, the shape, the price. It's about ensuring that the organisation is delivering what it needs to deliver to satisfy all the stakeholders. And environmental is included. We're just doing a big piece of work with a company in the nuclear industry where their integrated management system, their IMS, which will be an EIMS, has to cover quality, health, safety, security, and all the nuclear standards as well. And you'll be familiar with that compliance approach in your environment. So carbon management will become even bigger as we go forward. We'll see that. The quality function assures what you need to do to satisfy all these stakeholders and directs the quality improvement. It's not right that we have some separate business improvement group called the Lean Six Sigma guys. It's you. It's you who should be stepping up to the plate for that one. You should own that. And it is that aspect that we have considered. When we asked the top managers what were the 3 things critical that affected quality: culture, supply chain management, and of course continuous improvement. So critically important, the business must care. The quality of the leadership, the clarity of the vision and direction, the measurement of quality. When you go up to the lift, and stood waiting for the lift with you is the chief executive, what do you think she or he thinks when they see you? That they wish they were taking the stairs? I'm going to have to spend 60 seconds in the lift with this quality person. So what are you going to do in that 60 seconds? Talk to them about compliance and ISO? Or are you going to talk to them about leadership and clarity of the message and get the meeting with the guy or the gal that you can come and explain to them how you can help them get this organization aligned behind this absolutely imperative message? Linked to measures and objectives, and therefore to culture, is the continuous improvement thrust. And the impact of price on quality, the potential lack of control through outsourcing arrangements is phenomenal. That's you with your business units. Out here are your suppliers. They're in Taiwan, they're in China. Some person decides they're going to take some cents out of a capacitor for a new piece of electronic device. They do that, and 3 years later, you have a massive quality problem with your product. Can you sleep nights knowing that these things are going on? How are you going to take hold of that responsibility? How are you going to make sure you do those things? So it's not just as simple as worrying about the functions in your own organization. Most value chains are very much more complicated today than ever before. They extend across different business units within your own business to first, second, and third tier suppliers, the geography and the language. How many times around the world have you been recently? We were talking about that earlier. We're all traveling like mad because the world is so global, including in our supply chains. So finally, ladies and gentlemen, I want to share with you the Chartered Quality Institute's Quality Professional Competency Framework. I urge you to go on their website. I think it's just simply www.quality.com. Or just type in Chartered Quality Institute or CQI, and you get this framework. We talk about governance, leadership, assurance, and improvement, and all wrapped up with the context. We have written, through research, e-booklets that you can get through the CQI or from our website that cover each of these areas. I encourage you to access these valuable resources to see how you can help build the redefining quality paradigm change in your business. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. This is a picture of what we call total quality management, quality and operational excellence. It's described in our latest version of the book that we all know and love. Got 10 new case studies in there, including the Shells, the Nissans, the Airbus, the ABBs of this world. So do access those resources. You find most of it, you can link from there, or you can just give me your business card or take one of mine, and you can get some resources to help you in that challenge ahead. I wish you the very best of success. Thank you very much.